Of special assessment. Whereas pursuant to town law, the town board of the town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York, established the Peach Lake Sewer District in said town, and whereas the towns of Southeast and North Salem are in the process of constructing a wastewater treatment plant and collection system, parentheses, the WWTP, close parentheses, to serve the benefited area, and whereas the town of Southeast has, on behalf of the district, borrowed funds necessary and appropriate to help finance the construction of the WWTP, and whereas pursuant to the local finance law of the state of New York, the district is required to make its first payment of capital against the borrowed funds during the 2011 fiscal year, and whereas the funds necessary to pay such capital charge are to be levied and collected against the properties located within the district pursuant to a stated formula, and whereas a public hearing was duly noticed and held on April 28, 2011, for the purpose of hearing comment regarding the proposed F/Y 2011 capital assessment, and whereas said public hearing was convened and was thereafter closed on April 28, 2011, now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Southeast Putnam County, New York, that the capital assessments for the 2011 fiscal year are hereby established and are to be levied against and collected from the owners of real property within the district in accordance with the schedule attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit A, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby ordered and directed to file a certified copy of this resolution together with Exhibit A with the office of the Receiver of Taxes of the town of Southeast.
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Ruth.
Councilman Cullen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hudak?
Yes.
Councilman Yee?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
Yes.
And Supervisor Wright?
Yes.
Passed by 5-0.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 9. Councilman Gross, would you read the resolution, please?
Okay. Metro Peace New York LLC versus the Town of Southeast, resolution authorizing settlement of proceedings. Whereas a proceeding was commenced by Metro Peace New York LLC, known as Metro, in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York against the Town of Southeast, challenging a determination by the Southeast Zoning Board of Appeals, case number 10 CV 06936. Whereas the District Court has granted judgment in favor of Metro and directed the issuance of all necessary variants and permits to allow for a 10-foot extension to an existing monopole antenna. And whereas the parties have reached an agreement which will alleviate the need for Metro to seek an award of costs and fees in connection with the underlying litigation. And whereas, given the foregoing, it's the recommendation of the town attorney to enter into this settlement agreement, which will result in the ultimate dismissal of this matter. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast does hereby accept the recommendation of its town attorney and authorizes said town attorney and the supervisor to execute the stipulation of settlement in form substantially similar to that annexed hereto and made part hereof.
Second.
Councilman Yee seconds. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Cullen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hudak?
Yes.
Councilman Yee?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
Yes.
Supervisor Wright?
No.
No.
Motion carries 4
Motion.
votes to 1. Item 10, Haynes Pond Appraiser Appointment. You have in your materials the proposals from a variety of appraisers. The lowest responder was Jack Maney at $1,500. And as a consequence, I make a motion that we hire Mr. Meany to appraise the Haynes Pond property and to be paid the sum of $1,500 from the MTA parking lot account. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Can I have
Aye.
a discussion?
Sure.
The Open Space Committee, are they satisfied with this individual? I know they had concerns that they wanted to make sure the appraiser that was hired had open space experience.
Right, Bob. With respect to that issue, we have with us Chairwoman Millie Nugent. Millie, would you like to speak to that? Yeah. Let him fix your mic there. Okay.
Make sure that the person that's been chosen is going to do the extensive job that needs to be done there. I mean, they all gave excellent, what's the word? Recommendations as to what they were going to do. I'm not sure Mr. Meany met it. He certainly was the cheapest one, but sometimes cheapest comes out expensive. I don't know I never got anything from him as far as what he was going to do, laying it out, so I don't really know. I thought one of the other people were much more recommended by me, anyway, but I wasn't asked. So the important thing is that the appraisal has to be done so that we can purchase the Haynes Pond property if it turns out, and that's why you needed people with more information about how to look at the property from other points. And I don't know if Mr. Meany can do that or not, because I didn't see his resume other than, you know, what he was going to charge and so forth. So I hope it's the right one. We should have a backup one, though, just in case it isn't, because we'll have to do it again.
Thanks, Melanie.
I think that it's important, too, that
Yes.
there be additional information. I don't recall seeing a more comprehensive resume on Mr. Meany relative to what experience he did have, because this is quite important that we receive an appraisal that is done correctly, accurately, and by someone who has the experience. I'm not saying Mr. Meany doesn't have the experience. What I'm saying is I don't know really what experience he has. So as a result, what I think is important is that we make certain that this is not another debacle, so to speak, in terms of hiring an appraiser. So what I'm going to suggest that we do, and that what I would like to do, is to put off for one more regular meeting the voting on any of these appraisers, and ask Mr. Meany of Morgan Real Estate Appraisals, Mr. Ferrone from Landmark Appraisal Group, and once again, if John Burns is still in the mix, why not have him come in, as well as Mr. Hubble. There were no quotes from 3 individuals, Thomas Dwyer, Michael Dewan, and Robert Schott, SCHOTT. They were from the Trust for Public Lands. So what I would like to do is to make certain that we do the right thing, to ask these individuals to interview with your board, and that you can make the recommendations, and that the town board individually also meet with them. If we can accomplish this by the next regular meeting, I know I'd feel a lot more comfortable that we've selected someone who has the
Expertise.
in
Right.
open space, instead of simply just...
Well, I think Mr. Ferrone did in his application say he had extensive, and he knew the property, and 2 other people, which their names escape me right now because I don't have it in front of me, but I know Mr. Ferrone did. He said he had been to the property, he knew it, and he would do the job. I mean, and I think there was 1 or 2 others, because we had 9 people. Certainly out of the 9, there were people with the experience and knew Haynes Pond already. So I think you're absolutely right.
Thank you.
Do you want
Okay,
this in
thank
a
you.
work session?
Thank you, Millie. We do have a motion and a second on the floor, motion on the floor and a second. I would like to direct the town board's attention to Mr. Meany's divisions of licensing services, which is licensed as a licensed real estate appraiser. The effective date, September 3, 2010, and the expiration date, September 2, 2012. So he does appear to be a licensed real estate appraiser licensed by the State of New York Department of State. So I'm looking to move on this, but there's a motion and a second. So let's take a roll call vote, please, Ruth.
Councilman Cullen?
I'm going to abstain because I don't know if this gentleman has open space experience, and that's what we're looking for until we
Abstain.
find out.
For more information.
Yes, for more information.
Councilwoman Hudak?
I'm going to say no, because I believe that we need more information, and I would like to have interviews and have the Open Space Committee also meet with these individuals and interview them.
Councilman Yee?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
I'm also going to vote no for the reasons just given.
Okay, and Supervisor Wright?
Yes, motion is
Defeated.
does not pass, 2 votes to 2 with 1 abstaining. Item 11,
Wait, did you
Supervisor's
have-
financial update. Pardon me, Ruth. Item 11, Supervisor's update.
Work session.
You should have a memo in your materials, which is, let's see, The general fund townwide, pertinent to May 2011, obviously. The general fund townwide, almost 96% of the engineering budget has been expended. A majority of this cost pertain to MS4 compliance. All other revenue and expenditures are in line with what was budgeted. The general fund town outside the village, all revenue and expenditures for this fund are within what was budgeted. Highway fund townwide. The highway department has expended 67%, approximately, of its budget for snow removal, leaving 33%, approximately, remaining for the remainder of the year. All other revenue and expenditures are in line with what was budgeted. Highway fund outside the village, all revenue and expenditures for this fund are within what was budgeted. Item 12, resolution.
I would just like to ask a question.
We haven't been recognized by the chair, but go ahead, Lynn.
Oh, well, as far as the engineer's budget, with the majority of the cost pertaining to MS4, can you tell me precisely how much is left in the engineer's budget at this time?
I will check on that and get back to you.
Okay. And then as far as, I would like to make a comment regarding the highway fund. The highway fund's budget removal still has 33% remaining. I think that's pretty good. I think that the highway department's done a great job, particularly in light of the fact that we had to regrettably terminate some personnel from that department, and hoping to bring them back on again. But I will say that I'm happy about that, but what I'd like to know is if the supervisor knows how much of the highway budget outside of the snow removal remains.
Liz, I will check on that and get back to you.
Can I make one comment also?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel good about the highway situation because, as you all know, since January, we've had a very, very difficult winter, and I'm hopeful that December will be a light winter, so we'll get through the year with actually a surplus. And I will tell you, the highway department also retrieves sand on the roads. They sweep it up. They have been doing and will do, so that saves the town money to use that sand again at another time, and probably in the winter again. So I'm pleased with those numbers. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Item 12, resolution, Southeast Ambulance District Number 1. Councilman Yee, would you read that resolution? You have that?
Resolution making certain findings of fact, Southeast Ambulance District Number 1, May 19th, 2011. Whereas pursuant to the town law, the town board of the town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York, has heretofore caused a map and plan to be prepared and filed in the office of the clerk of said town in relation to the establishment of Southeast Ambulance District 1 in said town. And whereas an order was duly adopted by said town board on February 24th, 2011, reciting a description of the boundaries of said proposed district by tax map designation, the improvements proposed, the proposed method of financing to be employed, the fact that said map, plan, and report were on file in the town clerk's office for public inspection, and specifying that the 24th day of March 2011 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time at the Civic Center, 1360 Route 22 Southeast, Brewster, New York, as the time when and the place said town board would meet for the purpose of holding a public hearing to hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning the same, and whereas such order was duly published and posted in a manner and within the time prescribed by the town law, and proof of said publication and posting has been duly presented to said town board, and whereas said public hearing was duly held at a time and place set forth in said order, as foresaid, at which all persons desiring to be heard were duly heard, at which time the public hearing was duly closed, and whereas said town board was duly considered said map and plan and evidence given at said public hearing. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York, as follows. Section 1. Upon evidence given at the aforesaid public hearing, it is hereby found and determined as follows. A. The notice of hearing was published and posted as required by law and is otherwise sufficient. B. All the property and property owners within said proposed district are benefited thereby. C. All the property and property